Sharon could not hold back her grief as the crowd chanted her late husband's name. Yeah, Gene, I really listen. I really appreciate it. I really wanted to talk to you because I knew how well you knew him. And you've talked so affectionately and so respectfully about him and painted the picture of what a great musician and singer he was and what a trailblazer he was in so many ways. But also that ultimately he was just a great guy who loved his family, loved his friends, and loved musicians. Yeah, like no one I've ever met. And again, my prayers and condolences to Sharon and the family. And by the way, I haven't, through the years, Sharon and I have barely spoken here and there because we're scared to death of her. She will take your head off if you're about to say something injustice, poof. Yeah, but I can't tell you the admiration and love I have for Ozzy and the family. But this will continue. The Osbourne show is going to be rerun and all the new 15-year-old kids are going to rediscover Ozzy and Sabbath. It will continue. Yeah, it will. Gene Simmons, thank you so much. I really appreciate it. The start of the millennium, the Osbourne became MTV's highest rating show ever. Just as you've done with heavy metal, Ozzy created a whole new genre, reality TV. Well, here to reflect on that part of his life, a good friend of the Osbourne family. And of mine, Howie Mandel. Howie, thank you very much for joining me. I wanted to talk to people about Ozzy, who I know knew him and knew Sharon really well. You and I work with Sharon, of course, on America's Got Talent. First of all, your reaction just to the sad news that he's passed. Heartbroken. This was, and you know this better than anybody, this was not only it was a beautiful family. This is a wonderful. They are the gold medal of families, and I know that they became big for like crazy and wacky behavior, and people talk about that, but at the heart of even the television show that you just showed was a real sense of family, of love, of my heart is just broken. And in one way there's some you can take some solace in knowing that Ozzy is no longer suffering. I think he has been suffering for years now with health issues and the inability to do what he loves to do. And my heart was filled a week or two ago in watching what we all love. People talk about like after we die. Their people come and they do eulogies and they have an outpouring of their respect and how wonderful you were. He got to Sharon actually built this epic concert that where he was celebrated, and in the fact that he got to see that and be part of it, and the world got to see that and be part of it, and now it's going to go on. I read that that's going to be a feature film and it's going to be released later on. Was so beautiful, but at the same time so heartbreaking, because is probably even better than I know Sharon has been the glue in this family. And through hardships and whatever foils came their way, she has held it together and she's that glue, and it was the reason I think that their show was so big is because subliminally you knew that there was such love and respect and real family, and that family came first for Ozzy, for Sharon, for those kids, and we all want to be as good and as cohesive a family as they were, and I think they're the prime example to the world of what a family could be. One of the families that Piers Morgan has mentioned several times is the Osbourne family. In interviews, Piers Morgan has not hesitated to share his thoughts about Ozzy and Sharon, sometimes even offering strong criticism of their lives. While he has occasionally praised Ozzy for his resilience in fighting Parkinson's disease, he has also been unafraid to criticize the controversial actions of this rock legend in the past. Piers Morgan has also commented on the complicated relationship between Ozzy and Sharon, and at times he has shown dissatisfaction with how the family has dealt with fame and the personal troubles in their lives. That's how long we've been together, 43 years. No, a bit longer than the 43 shirt. Isn't that amazing? Absolutely amazing. It is. How does that make you feel, Ozzy? 43 years since Lizard of Oz. I can't live without her. She can't live without me. Sometimes I love her, but I didn't like it. And the vice versa to me. She sometimes says, I don't like you today, but I love you. Yeah, which is perfectly achievable. Perfectly. I think a lot of that's unreasonable. There's always love. Always that's what holds us together. But yeah, some days I don't think since we've been together for like nearly 40 years now, I don't think one day has gone by without me telling her. I don't think I've spoken to her everywhere every day no matter where I am. Sometimes I didn't watch. I didn't want to speak 'cause I was going to get an earful on the phone for being a bad boy. You blew the show again. What's been your greatest moment meeting Sharon? And I'm not just saying that. And do you remember the moment? When I fell in love with I knew from a distance what attracted me to Sharon. She always had this infectious laugh. It was like the planet was happening. Well, she has a kind of Barbara Windsor filthy cackle. Yeah, it was just wonderful. It was one of them things, you know, the shoes fit. I mean, she's still here and I'm still here. So, we out. Of all our ups and downs, it was still they embraced their flaws. They were very open and candid about stuff that went wrong. You know, Sharon never claimed to have the perfect marriage. She knew who she was married to. She knew he was a bit of a wild boy, Ozzy. But Ozzy said to me many times, you know, he could never have done any of this without Sharon. And that he could never imagine life without Sharon. They say 1 out of 4 marriages or 1 out of 3 marriages don't last. And I think that people have a tendency. They don't have the wherewithal to just hang on. And there's value in being able to hang on. And life is not perfect. Nobody is perfect. And horrible happens, and she has been an emblem and Ozzy also an emblem for even though they're like hang on, it's worth it, really is worth it, and life is tough, and they were great examples of how to get up when you've been knocked down and to just keep going. I always look to them. You know, I've been married for 46 years and didn't go through a fraction of what they have gone through, and I just looked to them and thought, oh my God, this is amazing. They are Sharon, and Sharon I knew best out of anybody in the family. I find her to be like a superhero. She really is like a superhero for life. They were the first time that I was aware of seeing authenticity. They weren't. What happened? I guess what happened is, eventually when you put, a lot of us and even me right now with this in front of me, I'm concerned about, whatever I say or how it's coming off. It seems like they didn't have a filter. None. And which could be thought of as a negative, but it turned out to be a positive because their authenticity when they were angry, when something uncomfortable happened, they saw the humor in it or rock he just because that's what he felt, that's what he liked, that's how he's saying, that's how he and he was they are pure humanity. That's what I think, and we are lacking purity, we are lacking authenticity, and we are lacking we're supposed to act a certain way, we're supposed to vote a certain way, we're supposed to think a certain way, we are not supposed to talk a certain way, we are supposed to be censored. What is censorship? Censorship is just so that we all sound exactly the same. We don't use them. A frail and despondent Sharon then bowed her head as she and her family raised their arms, giving the peace sign, showing their gratitude to the crowd who had gathered to show their love and pay their respects. Funeral difficulty. It was quite a poignant interview actually, 'cause for all the kind of nutty behavior underpinning it, Ozzy couldn't live without Sharon and Sharon couldn't live without Ozzy. And that's what's so sad I think about today, is that Sharon now doesn't have him, and my heart genuinely breaks for her for that. And the kids, they're there, the father is gone. Yeah, the patriarch. I mean, it's just for more than 4 decades, the relationship between Ozzy Osbourne and Sharon Osbourne has become a symbol of enduring an exceptional bond within the international entertainment industry. They are not only a committed couple, but also highly effective business partners. Sharon has not only been Ozzy's wife, but also his manager, representative, and protector through every phase of his career. Beginning in the 1980s, when Ozzy decided to leave Black Sabbath, Sharon played a crucial role in rebuilding his impressive solo career. I met Ozzy when I was around 18, and he came into my father's office for management with Black Sabbath. So I was 18 when I first met him. Love it personally. No, not at all. I was like, oh Lord, look at them. And they were all odd and hairy, and 'cause I'd been used to dealing with artists that were American, and they were slick, and they were really put together, and they smelled nice, and suddenly these guys come in, and they're hairy, and they're very, from the north of England, and they don't look or dress like anything I've ever seen. And so I was very nervous of them. Well, given that first impression, how in the So funny and quick-witted and yet very vulnerable, and I just thought he was the funniest, sweetest guy I'd ever met 'cause he was so vulnerable about everything, and that just attracted me to him. Sharon and Ozzy first met when Sharon was working for the management company run by her father Don Arden, the same company that managed Black Sabbath. Later, Sharon decided to leave her family's company to become Ozzy's independent manager, a risky but pivotal step that would change his career forever. The combination of Ozzy's musical talent and Sharon's sharp management mindset led to a remarkable transformation in Ozzy's career, especially with the release of the album Blizzard of Odds in 1980. Like any marriage, theirs faced its challenges. Throughout the 1980s and 1990 seconds, they encountered major storms in their lives, from addiction, mental health issues to public scandals. However, instead of letting these hardships tear their relationship apart, they chose to stand by each other and overcome everything together. Sharon persisted in taking Ozzy to rehab multiple times while also overseeing all of Ozzy's tours, big and small, around the world, protecting him from the temptations and dangers of a rock star's lavish lifestyle. In the 2000s, Sharon Osbourne became a familiar face on television when she and Ozzy along with their children starred in the reality show The Osbournes on MTV. The show not only provided humorous and entertaining moments, but also allowed viewers to see Ozzy offstage as a father, husband, and a somewhat eccentric yet deeply loving and devoted family man. Sharon and Ozzy's children, Amy, Kelly, and Jack, all played key roles in maintaining the Osbourne family image. Kelly became a famous singer and television host. Jack pursued a career in reality television and production, while Amy chose to live a separate life and pursue music in her own space. All three participated in family events, tours, and projects, contributing to the Osbourne family's image as a talented collective of artists working across various fields. As a result, the Osbourne family became a brand in itself. Despite occasional tensions and storms within the family, they never truly broke apart. Sharon over the years has always been the one to hold everything together. Often referred to by the international media as the rock that kept the family stable, especially during Ozzy's battle with Parkinson's and his ongoing health issues. When Ozzy passed away, his colleagues and friends remarked that Ozzy's image could never be separated from Sharon's. A close family friend shared Ozzy couldn't live without Sharon. Sharon couldn't live without Ozzy. They were on. Therefore, Ozzy's passing left not only a gap in the music world, but also a profound shock within their own family. This morning, thousands of fans gathered in Birmingham, England to pay tribute to a man who helped usher in a new age of rock and roll.